Okay, hello and welcome back, Squirrel family. Today we are going to be jumping around. The main subject today is actually what is the devil's goal and how does the devil go about achieving it? I think it ties in a lot with what we discussed yesterday and some of our other topics from previous days, like temptation. Um, what started me down this path for today was I was just doing my morning reading and I got to John chapter 14, verse 30. And I read it and I realized there's something I'm not sure, I wasn't sure about. So, anyways, to read verse 30, I will not take, I will not talk with you much longer because the ruler of the world is coming. He has no power over me. And by the way, the person reading or the person who is speaking is Jesus. So Jesus is saying the ruler of the world is coming and he has no power over me. And I asked myself, I was like, wait, who's the ruler of the world? Right? Like, who who is Jesus talking about? And so today's discussion is for any of you who don't know. I looked around the Bible and we found the answer, and the answer is the devil. So, anyways, I'm going to read through some of the verses and we'll talk about what I was thinking about as I found these verses. So, at the top of the screen, you can see that these verses come from different areas, but one is Luke chapter 4, verse 5 and 7, Luke chapter 4, verse 13, and so on and so forth. So, anyways, let's start with the Luke chapter 4, verse 5 through 7. And the reason I want to start with this, just to give some background, is this is the devil having a discussion with Jesus, and the devil is actually trying to tempt Jesus to sin or break God's rules. So, in this chapter, if you're interested in reading it, what happens is the devil tries to tempt Jesus 3 different times, and Jesus resists him. But I found the temptation I'm about to read, I believe, is the third temptation, and it's very interesting because it's very telling in our current society and our day-to-day life. So anyways, here we go. So verse 5. So he took him up and showed him, and he in this case is the devil. So maybe I'll replace it. Okay, so the devil took Jesus up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. The devil said to Jesus, I will give you their splendor and all the authority, because it has been given over to me, and I can give it to anyone I want. If you then will worship me, all will be yours. After the devil had finished every temptation, he departed from him for a time. So, sorry, I should have stopped at 7. But anyways, the point being here, a few things are interesting. One is the devil apparently has authority to give power in the world. So the devil can give a man, a woman, a human, anything, any worldly power that they desire. And what he's offering is, hey Jesus, I can make you the ruler of the world, and I can give you anything you want, right? You want kingdoms, I can give it to you. Wealth, I can give it to you. Prosperity, whatever, I can give it to you. So to me, that's very interesting because we already know, we discussed what God can give us. God can give us eternal happiness, bliss, heaven, a place in heaven, right? But so the devil actually is the opposite. So the devil has domain over the world. He can, or I should say, God has allowed the devil to have domain over the world to tempt man. And we talked about Adam and Eve before, so same thing. The devil can give you all these things, the power, the things that make your fleshly life feel good, right? And we've been discussing the flesh type of concept, but the devil can give you all the things that our modern society thinks you want, right? Do you want to be super wealthy? Do you want to have all the women or all the men? Do you want to, right? Do you want to give in to all this fleshly desires and just live a sinful yet very fulfilling, happy type of life? Or do you want to stick to God's values, hold God in your heart, resist these temptations, and earn yourself a place in heaven? To me, that's kind of the dynamic that I'm approaching. And so I found this very interesting because, and then now we will move on to verse 44. And the reason I bring up verse 44 is yesterday we discussed the fruits of a religion. We discussed, is there a right religion? Is there a wrong religion? And kind of the end point to me was, I think different religions work for different people. And to me personally, I look at the fruit. I look at the result of those religions, which is, are those religions putting out love? Are they putting out all the things that Jesus tells us that we should be striving for? Or are they putting out badness, right? And how do you define badness? What is the badness? And that's where I think this was interesting. I came across this during my studies today, and I just want to share it with all you. So this is describing the devil, okay? And you are of your father the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and has not stood in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he tells lies, or when he tells a lie, he speaks from his own nature, because he is a liar and the father of liars. So it's crazy that talking about the devil, they mention murder for a second, but actually the main thing they're focusing on is lying, right? So the devil is this, his nature is to lie, his instinct is to lie, everything about him is to lie. So I think that's where it ties into yesterday's discussion. And Caleb, if you're listening to this, you asked a great question. And I think this verse, this verse 44, it kind of gets at the point that I was trying to explain in my response to your comment. And it's that inside of all of us, we have the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit will tell us what is right, what is wrong. And Caleb's point was, well, Squirrel, if everybody listens to their intuition, the Holy Spirit within them, and their Holy Spirit disagrees, then what happens? And my argument to Caleb was that I don't, the Holy Spirit is one. It's one source. It is God. So if all of us are listening to the Holy Spirit, it's not like we're listening to 100 different things giving us guidance. It's one source of truth, one source of knowledge, and it's providing us with wisdom how to live our life in a blessed way. So then you ask yourself, well, how do people go astray, right? How do people do things that they shouldn't do? And I was saying is, to me, I think the actual issue in the world, and the actual issue in religions, when you look around and you see religions that are corrupt in our current world, is this, verse 44. It's that they've let the devil in. The devil has come into them. He has tempted them with these desires of the flesh, power, fame, all this stuff, and they've given into that. And because they gave into that, they stopped listening to the Holy Spirit inside them. They stopped connecting with God on a daily basis, and they started to go astray. And it's interesting because the fruit of the devil to me is lies. That's what verse 44 is telling me. So now when I look around in the world, if I see somebody lying, if I myself am allowing myself to lie, right, then I am letting the devil in. And that, I think, is how a slippery slope, you can start with a very minor lie and it can grow and grow and grow. And tomorrow's video, I'm going to talk all about lying, because lying is definitely, I talked about sexual temptation being one of my huge fallbacks, but it's crazy because I would say lying is another really big one. And I'm gonna dedicate all tomorrow's video just to lying, because I don't think lying as simple of a topic as a lot of people think. So anyways, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So I hope you all enjoyed. Once again, I'm just like, when I'm doing these videos, it's totally off the top of my head. It's not scripted at all. So I know it's not exactly as organized as some other things are, but I'm intentionally doing it that way because, one, I want to be genuine and transparent. And two, I want to interact. Like, I love interacting with all of you in the comments because I learn a lot. Smutu, Caleb, a bunch of you ask me questions, and then there's other of you who have dedicated a large portion of your life to studying the Bible that also quote back scriptures to me, and that's great. Both sides are great. It's great when you guys give me passages to read and concepts to think about, and it's great when you ask me questions to kind of test my faith, my understanding. I love that. So anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Love you all.